Trump scores a major victory at the appeals court level over the Portland battle with Antifa. Just that they conceded the ground, this woke court conceded the ground, proves how strong Trump's case is. We're going to get to far more about the Arctic frost stuff, which is really weird, a psychotic conspiracy against Donald Trump. They may not be able to get Biden on the auto pen, but they can definitely get Jack Smith on Arctic Frost. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm all flummoxed. I'm so excited. Then we're going to get to some Tolken memes at the end that are going to absolutely destroy you. Watch this. This is the article over at Washington Post. Now, remember, Washington Post is hostile territory. So, this is never Trump land. And they say the appeals court will reconsider whether Trump can send troops to Portland. The Ninth Circuit tossed out a panel decision from last week authorizing the deployment. The federal appeals court on Tuesday said it would take a second look at whether President Donald Trump can send National Guard troops to Portland, tossing out a ruling from last week from a 3-judge panel that had authorized the deployment. So they're throwing it out. They're going to decide this. It could end up going to a higher court is what I'm hoping for. If this goes to the Supreme Court, Trump is set. The appeals court decision Tuesday maintains that status quo on the ground. Troops have been blocked from deploying since early this month by U.S. District Judge Karen J. Immergut. The decision is the latest in a string of court rulings this month that so far have prohibited Trump from deploying National Guard forces to Portland and Chicago. But this is the good news. It's not a final say. They're still appealing it back and forth, which is super important, keeping that battle going. We have to go through the legal means of the courts, exhaust them all. But eventually, I believe they're going to side with Trump because it absolutely is one of his powers that he has. The decision is the latest in a string. I'm sorry, let me get to the next sentence. The Justice Department has asked the U.S. Supreme Court, and that's the key. You have to the more that you go through these appeals courts and you exhaust every previous court, the more likely it gets up to the Supreme Court. They've gone to the U.S. Supreme Court to allow to send troops to Chicago, something opposed by local and state officials. So that's the precedent. The court could rule anytime on that request. In the Portland case, a 3-judge panel in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit the Ninth Circuit is getting a little less crazy, issued a ruling last week that paused Immergut's order. The panel's majority said it was likely Trump acted lawfully. So that shows a lack of politics at the judge level. They don't want to look stupid, in hindsight. But if it does go to the Supreme Court, it's even more likely to go Trump's way. Immergut had not shown sufficient deference to Trump's judgment that troops were needed to carry out federal law in Portland amid protests against immigration enforcement actions. The 2-to-1 majority said. So we only eked out by 1 vote, but still. The 2 members of the panel's majority, as well as Immergut, that's the Democrat judge, were appointed to the bench by Trump during the first term. The appeals court panel's 3rd member, Judge Susan P. Graber, who was appointed by President Bill Clinton, dissented and urged the court to reconsider the case with a larger group of judges known as an en banc panel, ENBANC. And I agree with that. I actually think a full court should look at this. They should get more than just 3 people making this decision, where it's highly dependent on politics and things like that, which we don't want in the courts. I really do. I want a judge to make a constitutional decision of, does the president, not just Trump, but every president before and after, have the ability to do this? And I think there needs to be more judges involved. I'm going to skip ahead now to more news because I missed this Eric Schmidt, him slamming here's the justice system weaponized against Republicans in a way we've never seen before. I just like this clip.
Judge Boasberg gave a speech about how he was going to thwart the Trump agenda.
That's Judge Boasberg, the lower judge that is defying all these Trump orders, obvious Democrat, appointed not by Trump. I believe it was Biden, but it could have been Obama. I believe it was by Obama.
Before he got those cases, he was not the assignment judge The D.C. courts have a daily assignment judge.
Here comes the conspiracy, guys. He was on vacation. You know, judges, they randomly pull a judge from a field is what they're supposed to do to assign him a case. This judge wasn't even on that list, and he somehow got the case. Eric Schmidt's bringing up something to show how deep the corruption could be at the judge level. It could be someone threw this case to Boasberg, a Democrat, and Eric is going to start I believe is going to start an investigation on that because the corruption could be much deeper than was originally reported.
Wasn't the assignment judge. He's on vacation. Somehow gets these cases at 1 a.m. Was he tipped off? Did somebody tell him these cases against President Trump and his agenda now were coming? I don't know. We should find that out.
Yes.
But Judge Boasberg, what he did to Senator Cruz and maybe other senators, absolutely, and I don't say this lightly, absolutely is worthy of impeachment proceedings. There has to be accountability. The American people.
Impeach Boasberg. B-O-A-S, whatever, Berg. I got a Mike Pence fly in here.
Have heard a lot about this, and you're going to hear more. We should have Watergate-style hearings on this for months. If we're ever going to root this out, we have to be serious about it, and consequences have to follow. Resignations, firings, criminal prosecutions. You simply can't, in this country, use the justice system to throw people in jail because they have a red jersey on or a blue jersey on.
And that's what they did. I love that quote. We're going to have a quote from Ted Cruz again, too. I missed it the other day when I first reported on this Grassley hearing from 2 days ago. But first, I thought I'd show you. Well, let's hear from the other side. Here's Elizabeth Warren, she's like a cross between a poodle and a chicken.
We need for the president to release the data they already have. Why is Donald Trump not releasing the jobs data? Donald Trump's own former head.
Does anybody care? Jobs data. Here's a yapping poodle. Yap, 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 yap. Put an electric shock collar on her so if it gets to too high of a volume, she gets electrocuted. Or a chicken. You know, you ever seen chickens? They have that 1,000-mile stare. They're like an insect. They look straight off. Elizabeth Warren.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics has said.
Yeah, we really care about the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Is this on the American consciousness right now? No, the jobs number are not. This isn't getting traction, Elizabeth. And look at all these Democrat microphones in front of her. Let's put this on blast.
That by September 30th, the data were all collected, the data were ready to go, and Donald Trump and his administration are keeping it under wraps. And that just means that the Fed, which needs fundamentally two kinds of data, they need the inflation data and they need the jobs data.
Too many words, too many syllables. I'm a barely literate comic book artist. I'm not here for economics yet, Elizabeth Warren. What I do know is talking about the Fed, they've reduced interest rates, dropped to 1/4 point twice. That is good for the economy. Cheaper to rent, cheaper to borrow money for businesses. It's going good. That's what is freaking these Democrats out.
Make a decision about interest rates. So now they're trying to land this airplane, but the plane only has one wing.
And it seems like there's going to be a rate cut today. You've long called for rate cuts. What do you make if that happens today?
So look, I think that it is right for the Fed to cut rates, but getting that done accurately, knowing how much they should cut, depends on data.
They only did 2 quarter-point cuts. They should cut way more because we already knew that they tried to advantage Biden with their rate cuts, which is why Trump wants Powell fired.
The whole point of an independent Fed is that they look through the numbers.
No, the whole point of an independent Fed is that they're peopled with Democrats and they favor the economy to do this sunshine, blow sunshine up your hoo-hoo when it comes to Democrats. And then it's doom and gloom when it's Republicans. And all the media follows through, even though as they poll Americans are not suffering economically. Do you know where they're suffering? Is from the shutdown. SNAP benefits, food, old people starving, veterans, that's where they're suffering. Not from Trump not disclosing housing sales.
No, they're boring nerds, and then they make their best decision for the economy. And the fact that Donald Trump has been trying to politicize by threatening to fire first the chairman of the Fed and then another governor of the Fed.
Yeah, they should all be fired. You should be fired too. Look at this face. This is Karen. I feel like I just got sent to human resources. This is like when I was at Nickelodeon and they did sensitivity training, mandatory sensitivity training, where they would show you these corporate films. It was always a lady like this, big mouth, giant wide eyes, has a personality, sounds like she's lecturing you like a Sunday school teacher, but really faked on all of her degrees, claiming to be Native American. Look at this albino. What percentage of Native American is this? Is this an Aztec looking lady? She looks like a member of Aryan Nation. Man, I've got that fly. Hold on one second. That does it. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get a Mike Pence fly hanging around me, it's time to roll out the Venus flytrap. So I have these 3 little Venus flytraps. What I do is I put them right here on the desk and they will catch that fly usually within the hour, they're attracted to the honey. Okay, let's get back to the squawking Elizabeth Warren. Sorry about that.
And now concealing data from the Fed is one more sign that Donald Trump wants to politicize everything in America because he thinks he's the king in charge.
If only. I never thought of it before, but as the Democrats keep bringing it up, I think Trump would make a pretty good king. I think Project 2025 reads pretty good too, now that you guys bring it up. And finally, now that you bring it up, Trump would be a pretty good president in 2028.
Understand, ultimately, that is bad for our economy. And I don't say it's bad for Democrats. I say it is bad for everyone. Democrats, Republicans, independents, everyone.
You know what's bad for Democrats when the truth comes out? The truth is bad for Democrats, is where we stand. We're going to get to more on that. This is more on that Arctic frost stuff. This is weird stuff, guys. Why was it named Arctic frost? Here's our buddy Sean Davis at the Federalist. This is awesome stuff. Breaking new article. New Arctic frost whistleblower documents show that the corrupt Biden FBI subpoenaed the bank records, donor lists, and emails of nearly every major conservative organization and leader in the country, including Donald Trump's campaign, the RNC, Conservative Partnership Institute, Save America PAC. We already know that they went after Turning Point USA, America First Policy Institute, and even MyPillow. They went after Mike Lindell. They spied on Mike Lindell. They went after the MyPillow Corporation. Elizabeth Warren just talked about a No King's Day. That's insane. I got another scoop that I don't have the quote here. But do you know why it was called Arctic frost? This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. Do you know why it was called Arctic frost? It was a comment about Trump being Orange Man. So because Trump is orange, do you know what kills an orange? Arctic frost. Okay. These people are weird. Democrats are weird, guys. Put it together. Arctic frost, Orange Man bad. Because normally when they name these things, they go to a computer database and they pull out 2 random names to name the top secret investigation. And in this one, they picked that name according to the whistleblower because they were making a Trump is an orange man bad argument, saying he's an orange and Arctic frost will kill an orange. Here you go. Here's more. This is a Ted Cruz quote because, man, they found out he got spied on. His phone, his landline was spied on by Jack Smith. Watch this. He is going to unload both barrels.
Arctic frost is Joe Biden's Watergate.
Boom.
Merrick Garland was a fundamentally corrupt attorney general. Jack Smith was a fundamentally corrupt prosecutor.
Boom.
This was a political enemies list from the beginning. 197 subpoenas for 430 Republican entities and individuals.
Kind of extreme.
That is an absolute and egregious abuse of power. The Biden Justice Department signed off on issuing subpoenas for the phone records of at least 9 U.S. senators. 20% of the Republican state Senate were the target of this fishing expedition.
That's political espionage.
They did so in complete contravention of the Constitution, of separation of powers, of the speech and debate clause, of free speech, of basic rights of privacy. This is an executive who believes it is justified spying on their opponents in the legislature because they convince themselves the ends justify the means.
That is the whole Democrat Party's main, that's their main credo, ends justify the means. I believe this one's got legs. Arctic frost is going to be what takes down the Democrat Party. Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, all of them. And now I got a little something funny from the Department of Homeland Security. This is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. The Department of Homeland Security has posted this meme. This is one of their marketing strategies. The board is set. The pieces are moving. We come to it at last. The great battle of our time. They're quoting Tolkien. And they have this image of Meriadoc talking to Pippin from Lord of the Rings movie. He says, there won't be a Shire, Pippin. And what's this an ad for? Join.ice.gov. They have record number of applicants to become an ICE agent. And they are quoting Tolkien, there won't be a Shire, Pippin, meaning there won't be a country, Pippin. There won't be a constitution, Pippin, if we don't load up on ICE agents. This is brilliant. Now, all the liberal Tolkien snobs came out and go, how dare you discredit Tolkien's name with this marketing? Oh, man, and the memes started flowing. So here's the Homeland Security, join.ice.gov. Here's Aragorn for Frodo with the teary-eyed as he's going in to attack the orcs. There he is smoking a pipe and laughing. There's who's that? Not Denethor. He's the other one, the head of the Riders of Rohan. So it begins, he says. Here's Nerdrotic. Gary posts, you shall not pass Gandalf against the Balrog. Here's Frodo with 2 guns posted by Quarter Black Garrett. This is my favorite one. Frodo with 2 guns. Here's Logan Hall with Aragorn posting economic. I got to keep going down because some of these are really funny. I will not risk open war. And then Aragorn says, open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not. I will not risk offending the left. And then Aragorn says, the left is already offended, whether if you would risk it or not. I love my country. I love the right. We're having so much more fun than the left. And I'm going to get that fly, Venus flytrap. Do your job. Like ice. More news to come, guys. Don't miss a single episode. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. And remember, we're marching arm in arm. This is all victory good stuff. When we get Jack Smith, it is going to be the good news of all good news. And most of all, I think Trump, where they're making a case at the court level, that Trump is going to win in Portland against Antifa. I'm Doug in Exile.